Very good morning. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. In the next 30 minutes, we will get you all the big and latest developments of this morning. But before all those details, a quick look at the top headlines. Last day for filing nomination for the presidential election. M. Venkaiah Naidu and Gopal Krishna Gandhi to file papers, voting on August 5th. Close to 99% voting in presidential poll conducted on Monday. Winner among Ram Nath Kovind and Meera Kumar to be known on July 20th. Centre tells Supreme Court it won't grant grace period for depositing scrapped 500 and 1,000 rupees notes. Says objective of eliminating black money will be defeated. 3 militants killed in encounter in South Kashmir's Anantnag. Encounter broke out during anti-militancy operation in the area. .7 magnitude earthquake strikes off eastern coast of Russia. Tsunami threat issued and later lifted. Today is the last day for filing nominations for the vice presidential elections. NDA's vice presidential nominee Venkaiah Naidu will file his nomination papers at 11 a.m. in the Parliament House. The BJP's parliamentary board had decided on his name as NDA's vice presidential nominee on Monday. The opposition nominee Gopal Krishna Gandhi will also file his nomination papers today. He will file his papers in the presence of top Congress leaders including Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, whose candidature was endorsed by 18 non-NDA parties, including the JDU. He will also be accompanied by the top opposition leaders, including those from the left parties and TMC. The scrutiny of nominations will take place on July 19th. Voting takes place on August 5th and counting of votes will also be held on the same day after voting. The BJP on Monday announced Union Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu as its vice presidential nominee for the elections that will be held on 5th of August. Naidu, who served as a minister in Atal Bihari Vajpayee government and enjoys a clear lead in the contest, will be the second BJP leader after Bhairav Singh Shekhawat to occupy the top post of the vice president. Naidu became the BJP's president in 2003 at an early age of 54. He has been associated with the RSS student wing in his early days and was also the president of Andhra University Students' Union. He was elected to the Legislative Assembly of Andhra Pradesh twice in 1978 and again in 1983.
श्री एम वेंकैया नायडू जी एनडीए की ओर से उपराष्ट्रपति पद के लिए प्रत्याशी होंगे.
BJP President Amit Shah announcing M. Venkaiah Naidu as the party's vice presidential candidate after a meeting of the BJP Parliamentary Board.
पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड के सभी सदस्य और एनडीए के सभी साथियों से चर्चा करने के बाद पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड ये निर्णय पर पहुंचा है कि भाजपा के वरिष्ठ नेता और अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्टर श्री एम वेंकैया नायडू जी एनडीए की ओर से उपराष्ट्रपति पद के लिए प्रत्याशी होंगे.
Venkaiah Naidu will face opposition nominee Gopal Krishna Gandhi in the vice presidential election on 5th August that will be decided by 790 parliamentarians. Naidu has a clear lead in the electoral contest, with the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance having a combined strength of 410 MPs in both houses of parliament.
तो लंबा संसदीय ज्ञान का भंडार उनके पास है. एक समर्पित और निष्ठावान कार्यकर्ता, कुशल संगठक, मौलिक विचारक, प्रशासनिक क्षमता के धनी और संसदीय ज्ञान के उनसे जानकार बहुत कम होते हैं.
Prime Minister Modi hailed Naidu as a fitting candidate for the office of Vice President. In a series of tweets, he said Naidu's experience will help him discharge the important role of Rajya Sabha chairperson. According to reports, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called up Chief Ministers of Tamil Nadu, Bihar and Andhra Pradesh and senior leaders including Sharad Pawar seeking their support for Naidu's candidature. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu hailed the choice of Venkaiah Naidu as candidate for the vice presidential election. YSR Congress too has extended support to Naidu. The rebel AIADMK faction, led by former Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam, also backed Naidu. Venkaiah Naidu, who hails from Andhra Pradesh, is a prominent face of the BJP from South India. Soon after his nomination, he resigned from the Union Cabinet. He was holding two portfolios of Information and Broadcasting and Housing and Urban Affairs. Two sets of nomination papers in support of Naidu's candidature will be filed today, the last day of nomination. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Rajnath Singh, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj are expected to propose Naidu's name for the top post. Naidu is a four-term member of the Rajya Sabha.
And for more on this, we'll go across to our correspondent Vishal Dahiya, who is joining us live from the Parliament. Vishal, a very good morning. NDA is claiming to have the maximum support of political parties for Venkaiah Naidu's candidature, and considering the fact that opposition has fielded Gopal Krishna Gandhi, who has the support of 18 non-NDA parties, what are the preparation in NDA and opposition camp for today's nomination filing, and which all leaders do we expect to join Naidu for the nomination filing today?
Well, Smriti, as far as numbers game is concerned, it's pretty much clear because the NDA has a clear majority in the lower house, and the NDA numbers have been on the rise in the upper house as well. So a combined strength of the NDA in both houses is enough for, to see through the NDA's vice presidential nominee M. Venkaiah Naidu in this election. But apart from that, the NDA also has enlisted support of other smaller parties. So in numbers game, once again, this contest seems clearly tilted in favor of NDA's nominee. But as far as the process of the election is concerned, this time around, the vice presidential election will be conducted by the Secretary General of Rajya Sabha as the returning officer appointed by the Election Commission. And the nomination process will take place in a short while from now in his chamber in the Parliament House. First will be the NDA nominee M. Venkaiah Naidu, who will be filing his nomination, followed by the opposition candidate Gopal Krishna Gandhi. Now, there is going to be a battery of senior leaders present during the nomination of both the candidates. In Venkaiah Naidu's nomination, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself will be present, along with the other senior leaders of the BJP, as well as chief ministers of the BJP ruled states, and also, the chief ministers of their ally, states ruled by their allies. Specifically, the Andhra Pradesh chief minister and Chandrababu Naidu is reaching Delhi to participate in this particular nomination process and be there. Also, there will be a number of senior leaders present from the opposition side during the nomination of Gopal Krishna Gandhi. This entire process will be over by around noon today, and then the process of scrutiny of nominations and withdrawal of nominations will begin, and then there will be elections to the post of Vice President on 5th of August. So this is the entire process, and everything seems set as of now for the members of the Electoral College for the Vice President to go ahead and choose the next Vice President of India.
Thank you so much, Vishal, for joining us and giving us all those latest information. So today, the stage is set for the nomination filing for the post of Vice President, and today is the last day for the nomination filing. NDA's Vice Presidential candidate M. Venkaiah Naidu and opposition's Gopal Krishna Gandhi will be filing their nomination papers today. Moving on, close to 99% voting was recorded on Monday for electing India's next president, perhaps the highest ever percentage. NDA's nominee Ramnath Kovind is in a straight fight with opposition's Meera Kumar in what is being called a Dalit versus Dalit contest. The results will be announced on July 20th. Paper ballots were used in the presidential elections. Special arrangements were made at the Parliament House and the state assemblies for the polling.
Voting to elect the next president of India ended at 5 p.m. on Monday, with MPs and MLAs casting their ballots in their respective state assemblies. NDA nominee Ramnath Kovind is pitted against opposition candidate Meera Kumar for the post. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Amit Shah were among the first to cast their votes in Parliament. Congress President Sonia Gandhi, Vice President Rahul Gandhi and party's chief whip in Lok Sabha, Jyotir Aditya Scindia, also cast their votes. While NDA candidate Ramnath Kovind is expected to win with a comfortable margin, the opposition said its joint pick Meera Kumar was the best choice.
मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आत्मा की आवाज सुनी जाएगी, क्योंकि इससे पवित्र और इससे शक्तिशाली और कुछ नहीं है, और देश के हित में, देश के भविष्य के लिए निर्णय लिया जाएगा.
I am sure Ramnath Kovind ji will win with a comfortable, respectable margin.
It is between two ideologies. So the president of India is occupying such a position who has to safeguard the interest of the entire nation.
सब एमपी के ऊपर और सब एमएलएस के ऊपर अपनी अंतरात्मा के आधार पर, अपनी कॉन्शियंस के आधार पर वोट डालें.
While the Trinamool Congress is backing Meera Kumar, its Tripura unit, however, decided to back Ramnath Kovind. With both Kovind and Kumar belonging to the Dalit community, BSP chief Mayawati expressed satisfaction that a Dalit leader would occupy the highest office.
ये हर एक अलग चीज है, लेकिन अच्छी बात यह है कि दोनों में से कोई भी जीते, लेकिन खुशी की बात यह है कि सुल कास्ट का आदमी तो देश का राष्ट्रपति बनेगा.
हमारी आशा यही रहेगी कि अच्छे व्यक्ति जो इस पद की गरिमा को रख सकते हैं, संविधान की रक्षा कर सकते हैं, वो जीते. और इसमें कोई अब क्योंकि राष्ट्रपति का चुनाव है, अब अन्य कोई राजनीति वोटिंग के बाद न देखी जाए.
In Bihar, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar led JDU is supporting NDA candidate Ramnath Kovind, while senior partner of the Grand Alliance RJD is backing opposition candidate Meera Kumar. After casting his vote, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said he was confident of Kovind winning by a huge margin.
एनडीए के प्रत्याशी श्री रामनाथ कोविंद जी भारी बहुमत से चुनाव जीतेंगे, इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं है. उत्तर प्रदेश का ये सौभाग्य है कि पहली बार उत्तर प्रदेश को राष्ट्रपति देने का अवसर प्राप्त हो रहा है.
हमारी पार्टी ने रामनाथ कोविंद का समर्थन किया है और वो आज विजयी होंगे, ऐसा हम मान के चलते.
Counting of the votes will be on Thursday. The term of President Pranab Mukherjee ends on the 24th of this month. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some more news. The centre has told the Supreme Court that no more grace period will be granted for depositing the scrapped 500 and 1,000 rupees notes. The centre informed the Apex Court that the very object of demonetization and elimination of black money will be defeated if a fresh window is given. The centre was responding to the July 4th directive by the court, asking it to consider granting a window to those who have not been able to exchange the scrapped notes for genuine reasons. The Apex Court had said that people should not lose their own money for no fault of theirs. The government affidavit said that none of the petitioners have given any valid ground as to why they could not deposit the scrapped notes, though his or her authorized third person. The government also said that the sufficient time has been given to people to exchange notes and deposit it. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has asked the centre to take a considered and well-informed view before taking a policy decision on the commercial release of genetically modified mustard crop. The Apex Court has said that the effects of such a move would be irreversible. The court also granted a week's time to the centre to apprise it of when it will take a policy decision on the rollout. The centre has said that it has not taken any policy decision on the commercial release of GM mustard crop and was considering various aspects. It has also invited suggestions and objections on the issue. The Apex Court had on October 17th last year extended the stay on the commercial release of GM mustard crop till further orders. It had asked the government to seek public opinion on such seeds before releasing it for cultivation purposes. Mustard is one of India's most important winter crops, which is sown between mid-October and late November. And with that, time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
सांजुआ राजपूत घराने से हूँ और मेरे खानदान की रगों में हमेशा ही फौजी खून रहा है। उस वक्त मैं हिंदुस्तान को एक अंग्रेज की नजर से देखता था। अंग्रेजों का नमक खाया हमने, उसे खारिज कर दूं मैं? लेकिन जब नजर साफ हुई तो मेरी समझ में आ गया, आजादी के लिए लड़ने वाली अगर कोई फौज है तो उसका नाम है आजाद हिंद फौज।
नमस्ते, मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा खुशी हो रही है ये देखकर कि आपका रिस्पांस बहुत अच्छा रहा है ट्रेलर के लिए, और आप सबको बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आपने इतनी शुभकामनाएं भेजी हैं।
Welcome back. GST Council on Monday hiked cess on cigarettes to take away the windfall manufacturers were getting due to an anomaly in it after the GST rate fixation. The council took the decision after reviewing the compensation cess rates on cigarettes in its meeting in New Delhi. The new rate came into effect from midnight. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said the cess on cigarettes of up to 65 mm was raised by 485 rupees per 1,000 sticks, and on those exceeding 65 mm by 792 rupees per 1,000 sticks. The change in cess would fetch 5,000 crore rupees additional revenue. However, consumer prices will not change as the increased tax incidence would only take away the windfall profits the manufacturers were earning. Jaitley also said that the next meeting of the council will take place in the first week of next month to review the progress of new indirect tax regime GST.
So the rate of 28% remains. On the compensation cess, the 5% ad valorem remains, but the numerical amount for each category has been increased by amounts like rupees 485,000, rupees 621 per thousand, and rupees 792 per thousand.
A 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court would commence today the hearing on a batch of petitions challenging the validity of the Aadhaar scheme and the aspect of the right to privacy attached to it. The constitution bench would comprise Chief Justice J.S. Khehar and Justices J. Chamaleshwar, S.A. Bobde, D.Y. Chandrachud and S. Abdul Nazir. The Apex Court had agreed to set up a bench on July 12th to deal with the Aadhaar-related matters after Attorney General K.K. Venugopal and Senior Advocate Shyam Diwan, appearing for petitioners who have challenged the government's move to make Aadhaar mandatory for various public welfare schemes, had jointly mentioned the matters. The 3-judge bench had in 2015 referred to a constitutional bench the batch of petitions challenging the centre's Aadhaar card scheme to decide whether the right to privacy was a fundamental right. Government panel on Air India's disinvestment will hold its first official meeting today to discuss the modalities of privatizing India's national carrier. The ministerial panel, headed by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, will take a call on the various options to deal with Air India's debt burden of over 52,000 crore rupees. Union Ministers Ashok Gajapati Raju and Nitin Gadkari are other members of the panel. The Union Cabinet had given its in-principle approval of Air India's disinvestment after Niti Aayog recommended strategic disinvestment in the loss-making airline. Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar will brief a parliamentary committee today on the issue of the China-India standoff. The panel includes Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi and is headed by Congress MP Shashi Tharoor. China and India are engaged in a standoff in Sikkim's Dokala region near the Bhutan-Trai junction for over 3 weeks after a Chinese army's construction team attempted to build a road. Last week, a meeting was also called by the government to brief the opposition parties on the issue. In the latest developments from Jammu and Kashmir, an army Jawan was martyred, a girl was killed while 4 persons were injured in heavy firing and mortar shelling by Pakistan along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch, Rajouri and Baramulla districts on Monday. Pakistan Army resorted to unprovoked mortar shelling and firing. The Indian Army retaliated, triggering heavy exchanges. Pakistan also shelled mortars on civilian areas in Balakot, Manjakot and Baroti Bells. Meanwhile, bodies of 3 terrorists who were killed in the encounter in Anantnag were recovered and identified. The encounter broke out at around 8 p.m. on Monday at Wanihama village of Anantnag following an anti-militancy operation launched by the security forces. 1 AK-47, 1 SLR and 1 pistol have been seized. All schools in the border of Manakot and Balakot Bells are closed and people have been advised not to come out of their homes in the view of heavy shelling. Later in the day, Pakistani troops reportedly started unprovoked firing at 3 villages in Kamalkot area of Uri in Baramulla district around 3 p.m. 1 soldier was injured in the firing. And let's take a look at what else is expected to make news through the day in Day Ahead. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop will be on a 2-day visit in Delhi today. She will call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi and is scheduled to meet her counterpart Sushma Swaraj to take forward the bilateral engagement on defence and security issues. As per the External Affairs Ministry, she is expected to meet Arun Jaitley and Prakash Javadekar. The Delhi Pradesh Congress Committee will today ghirao Parliament to protest against GST in its present form. Congress, on the other hand, has claimed that the implementation of the tax regime in its present form will affect traders as well as the common people. The Kisan Mukti Yatra, organized by a coalition of farmers' organization, will today reach Jantar Mantar in the backdrop of monsoon session of the Parliament. Loan waivers for farmers, remunerative pricing for their crops, interest-free agricultural credit constitute the main demands of the Kisan Mukti Yatra. Commerce and Industry Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is expected to push for a trade facilitation agreement on services when she meets World Trade Organization Chief Roberto Azevedo. Said to happen at the WTO headquarters in Geneva, the meeting assumes significance as it is being held months before the organization's ministerial conference held once in 2 years in Argentina in December. Amid the unrest in Kashmir, the RSS will today hold its annual review meeting for the first time in Jammu, looking to send out a message to separatists that the valley is an integral part of the country. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat, BJP President Amit Shah and leaders from Vishwa Hindu Parishad will attend the 3-day meeting. And shifting our focus on the international front, an earthquake with a magnitude of 7.7 struck off the eastern coast of Russia. According to the US Geological Survey officials, initially warned of a tsunami threat in the parts of the Pacific, but the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center lifted that forecast a short time later, saying it did not expect a destructive Pacific-wide tsunami and adding there was no threat to Hawaii. Waves had been initially forecast to be less than 0.3 meters above the tide level for coast in the area ranging from Russia to Hawaii. The quake hit 199 kilometers east coast of Nikolsky, Russia, at a depth of 11.7 kilometers. And Pakistan Supreme Court will continue hearing in the Panama Gate case that will decide the future of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, who is contesting a damning corruption report by an investigative panel. The court began hearing the case on Monday after a joint investigation team appointed by the court on 10th July tabled a damaging report into Sharif's family wealth. The JIT investigated the matter in May after the Panama Papers leak showed Sharif's 2 sons and his daughter owned offshore assets worth millions of dollars. After the report, the country's Supreme Court is expected to put Sharif on trial on corruption charges or even disqualify him. However, Sharif continues to deny any wrongdoing. On Monday, Sharif's lawyers filed objections to the JIT's report. The council argued that the report was biased and that the JIT had exceeded its mandate. Sharif had also rejected the demand by the opposition parties to resign, warning his ouster would destabilize the country and imperil hard-won economic gains since his poll victory in 2013. And a look at what else is making news from across the world in World Wrap. Turkey has extended emergency rule for another 3 months, almost a year after it was imposed in the wake of the July 2016 failed military coup. The government asked Parliament to extend it for a 4th time, and the proposal was approved by the Assembly, where President Tayyip Erdogan's AK party has a comfortable majority. The extension followed weekend ceremonies to mark the anniversary of the abortive coup, in which around 250 people were killed. China's military has conducted live fire exercises in the remote mountainous Tibet region to test its capability on plateaus. The exercise was conducted by a ground combat brigade of the PLA Tibet Regional Command and involved scenarios such as rapid deployment, multi-unit joint strike and anti-aircraft defense. The PLA Tibet Command guards the line of actual control of the India-China border, and the drill comes amid the standoff between the India and Chinese troops in the Dokala area of the Sikkim sector. Russia is pressing demands that the US give it access to 2 diplomatic compounds seized in the US last year. After a high-level talks between both the sides, one Russian official involved said that the row had almost been resolved. Russia has been angered by the move, with the Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov calling it daylight robbery. In December, the US expelled 35 Russian diplomats and shut the compounds over the suspicions of the meddling in the US elections. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.